For days, Theppa and Pidizio trod the rugged path eastward across a vast expanse of forests, valleys, and hills. Pidizio, another shrine. There seems to be a great number of them, said Theppa, amazed, pointing at a rock carved with images of some deities beside a spring. Hittites are known for their many gods. Surely we are now in their realm, said Pidizio. In a while, we will come out to a foothill, and there we will see dragon-like Marasantia, the river coiling around Hattusa, capital of the Hittite kingdom. Standing before Hattusa's towering walls, Theppa admired with eagerness the excellently layered mud bricks on a massive stone foundation, the city gate in perfect parabolic shape, and defense towers built on top of the walls, soaring in a crisp spring air. Pidizio, look at... Before Theppa could finish, she was swept into the city gate by a great flow of people, and while being pushed along, she caught glimpses of houses upon houses lining the streets, and large, elegant edifices, and she heard music not far away. We may be in time for Pururias, a spring festival, said Pidizio to Theppa. The crowd pushed toward where the music was, and stopped before an open square where there stood a magnificent temple and a platform dressed with spring flowers and woolen draperies of intricate design. Out in the center was a makeshift arena encircled by the growing crowds. We missed the sacred rituals, said Pidizio, disappointed. How so? Asked Theppa. It is only after the king and the queen pour the libations and drink to the gods, and the kusa is burnt, and many other steps that the games may begin, said Pidizio. Games? Asked Theppa. You! The dagger person! Someone shoved Theppa from behind. Ah, thieves with big swords. We are not afraid, now that we see in broad daylight that you are a little boy. Ha ha ha! Exclaimed the two men who tried to rob the Luoyang woman's hut a while ago. Good. I thought I might have done irreparable damage to your, courage, said Theppa. Insolent tongue! Cried the burglars, pushing her into the crowd. Enough! Shouted an official who came to see what the disturbance was about, and with a shove sent all three of them tumbling into the arena. Carry on! Let us all have a good laugh if you so love to fight! The crowd roared at the trio's farcical entrance. The two thieves, after recovering from the shock, flew at Theppa with big swords. Theppa, not wanting to expose her identity, decided to play the fool. So she galloped like a horse and sang at the top of her lungs, letting her enemies chase her all over the arena. Poor boy, he is mad, said Hattusili, the king, who was seated on the platform with the royal family. He is a rare runner, said Muzili, the king's grandson, who had been observing Theppa with piercing eyes this whole time. Let him fight a royal guard, that we may get more laughs, said Labarna, the crown prince. A royal guard, tall and muscular, was sent in. With the meticulous aim of a trained fighting man, he raised his sword and charged. To everyone's surprise, Theppa ran to meet her foe with unsteady feet, giggling as if she were drunk. At the moment of contact, Teppa plunged downward and tackled the man's thighs, and he fell backward to the ground. When he tried to sit up, Teppa sat on his chest. When he got up, Teppa clung to him like a leech. The poor man, who could not stab himself with his own sword, nor rid himself of his opponent, ran all over the arena like one possessed. "That boy, he is mad," said King Hattusili, his voice drowned out by the crowd's thunderous laughs. "He is not mad. He is a warrior, and one very fine," said Muzili, rising from his seat and removing his royal robe. "Grandfather, let me fight him." Like an eagle swooping down on his prey, Muzili descended upon the arena, dressed in a sleeved tunic and a kilt, ready to fight. Unlike others before him, he marched right up to his opponent until they were face to face. The crowd, who not long ago was a roaring circus, was now still, as if all were holding their breath. Before an opponent as unpredictable as herself, Teppa was for the first time unsure of her next move. In a flash, Teppa's chin was marked with a bloody stripe. Teppa, from instinct, lunged at the enemy and knocked the dagger off his hand. The force sent them tumbling to the ground, where they wrestled with all their might. In less than a round, Teppa pinned the enemy down and at once drew her dagger and pointed it right down over his throat. "Friend, your skill betrays you. You are no fool, nor common man," said Muzili, breaking into a fit of laughter. "When facing an equal, one has no choice but to give his all," said Teppa. "Stranger, tell me, are you a warrior god in disguise, or are you of royal blood? For I discern in your way something godlike and noble," said King Hattusili from the royal platform. "I am Luca, from an island in the far west. I am no god nor of royal blood, O king, only one accursed, though not for any blood guilt of my own," said Teppa. "He is a Luwian, an enemy!" exclaimed Prince Labarna from his seat. "The only thing Luwian I claim is the name I bear," said Teppa. "You are welcome, stranger. If you like, just stay and take post in my royal guard, where sons of palace train and congregate. Or, if there's somewhere you want to go, I will send you on your way with all you need and more," said King Hattusili. "Stay, friend, stay," said Muzili. It was 6 full moons ago when Teppa first walked through Hattusa's lofty gate. Now, she was one of the 12 spearmen in the royal guard, the best fighting men in the kingdom whose duty was to protect the king. Among the 12, there were 4 who were like brothers: Ewanika, master swordsman; Hasuman, the shepherd wrestler from the wavy hills of Sulupasi; Theppa, who had no equal in the art of dagger and spear, and Prince Muzili, the champion archer who was the king's youngest grandson. And of these four, Muzili and Theppa were like brothers of the same blood, and Muzili loved Theppa as his own soul. With Muzili, Ewanika, and Hasuman, Theppa roamed over Hattusa and came to know thoroughly the royal city. She saw the giant underground silo for storing grain, and the secret passageway underneath the city wall, triangle-shaped and in ancient stone. She marveled at the ingenuity of the city's many water reservoirs, as water was never in short supply in her native Crinis. But what amazed Theppa above all was the scriptorium in a temple complex, where the scribes bustled in and out with clay tablets written in Nezili, language of the Hittites, and Akkadian, language of foreign diplomacy and trade. In the woods near the king's summer residence, Muzili and Theppa built a fire for the night. The two friends had been in nearby arena, pondering the sacred city's lofty temples and royal tombs.
"Luca, something is troubling you. Be frank and speak your mind,"
said Muzili. "I must resume my journey. I have stayed too long in Hattiland," said Theppa.
"It is out of restlessness that you speak,"
said Muzili. "Muzili, it is on account of a curse, and not out of restlessness that I roam the earth. In truth, I am heartsick for my land and my people, and the old father I left behind," said Theppa.
"Luca, lift yourself out of these dark thoughts. It is man's duty to accept his lot with a straight neck. Let us roam the earth even to its four corners with a happy frame of mind. We can go east to the Sumerians and Akkadians by way of the old trade route, if you like," said Muzili.
"We all know the gods favor you, the youngest prince. All the privileges and few responsibilities," smiled Theppa. As the two thought and planned, a servant from the king's residence came, ashen-faced. "You are summoned to Kusara, Prince Muzili. The king has called for the great assembly. He was wounded in Aleppo, and now lies on his deathbed." The royal edict of Hattusili, the great king, king of the land of Hatti, declared shortly before he died.
"The great fighting men of the assembly and dignitaries, I adopted Labarna, my sister's son, and made him my heir because my own children are rebellious. But Labarna has a heart of stone and cares about nothing but himself. Enough, he is not my heir. Behold, my grandson Muzili, who is virtuous and strong. He will take Labarna's place and be your king."
Muzili, the young king, called the great assembly to convene, and there he named Hantili his royal cupbearer, and Theppa his chief of the royal guard. The lords had no complaints against Hantili, for he was Muzili's brother-in-law who raised Muzili like one of his sons. But they objected to Theppa as she was neither a Hittite nor of nobility. "Why did Muzili insist on appointing me? I am a foreigner who will soon leave this land," said Theppa. "What? I'm amazed at you, Luca. Would you leave a friend in need?" said Ewanika, the master swordsman. "I am amazed at your comment, Ewanika. If by a friend you mean Muzili, do you not see all the lords in the assembly united in his support?" "They are a pack of wolves, Luca. The late king's widow doesn't like Muzili on the throne, nor do Labarna's supporters, who are many. Once they are out of mourning, they will devour the young king, skin and bones, if no one is there to stop them," said Ewanika. After this talk, Theppa became Muzili's chief of the royal guard. Years after his enthronement, Muzili came of age and began leading the Hittites in battle. He waged wars on rebellious cities and defended faraway provinces. Arzawa was in his grip, and ancient Wumas, Ulumas, and Ankuwas returned to life. Anywhere the king went, Theppa and the 12 spearmen went also. They encircled the king in battle and went before him where danger was found. Wherever the king went, he was made secure. In the 7th year of Muzili's reign, Burushadum rebelled. The king destroyed the city and made its inhabitants captive.
Burushadum rebelled out of fear. They were told their former allegiance to Labarna has made the king hostile,
said Hantili, king's cupbearer and brother-in-law.
Again, Labarna incites violence with untruth,
said Muzili.
My son the king could end Labarna's lies by showing goodwill toward his former allies,
said Hantili.
How?
asked Muzili.
The king could marry one of their daughters. In doing so, you will eliminate rebellion and make friends in the assembly.
Kali, daughter of Lord Pusum, who supported Labarna, was presented to Muzili, and he made her queen. Hantili let everyone know that he arranged the king's marriage, and his standing in the assembly greatly increased. Several years later, Zalpa, another city, broke out in revolt. There, a prince named Hapis led a rebellion 3 years ago, which Muzili promptly stomped out. Now the same man again kindled the fire against the king. For a month, Zalpa was besieged. Muzili bore down the city with a mighty army, and many died. Then came the time when Muzili must return to Hattusa to lead the annual pilgrimage, but the battle was at a standstill.
"My son, the king, let Luca take your place and finish this battle,"
said Hantili. "Luca goes where I go," said Muzili.
"Is there another more capable than Luca? The 12 spearmen will guard the king, but who will guard the king's army and lead it to success?"
said Hantili.
"Luca goes where I go,"
said Muzili. But the king relented and put Theppa in command at the urging of Hantili. In 12 days, Theppa broke through Zalpa's gate, and the city was taken. After the battle, Theppa returned to Hattusa with the army, and she sensed a change. In her absence, several new men were appointed to the royal guard. She later found that they were appointed by Hantili, and one of the new men was Zidanta, Hantili's son-in-law. "Zidanta has the skill, but he has no morals," said Theppa, after seeing Zidanta sneak behind and fracture his opponent's arm before a mock fight began. "He is dangerous," said Hasuman, the shepherd wrestler. "He's a dagger for whose use I'm too afraid to name out loud," said Ewanika, the master swordsman. In the assembly, Hantili dominated the discourse, and the lords gathered round him like constellations to the sun. "My son the king, your brother-in-law has gained much power," said Theppa. "I'm glad. I have now a united assembly owing to his counsel," said Muzili. "That unity looks suspicious. Do you not sense that the court is changed? And can the cupbearer appoint royal guards?" said Theppa. "Luca, there's no one I trust more than Hantili, who reared me like his own son," said Muzili. "It may be possible that sometimes wolves devour their young," said Theppa. "It is your jealousy, Luca, that leads to this misjudgment," said Muzili, vexed. "Who am I, that I should be jealous of the king's kin?" said Theppa. "Be careful, Muzili. Your enemy lies in the dark."